How does AccrueMe make money if AccrueMe doesn't charge any interest, doesn't charge any fees, and doesn't require any payment for months or even years in some cases? My name's Ben. I'm one of the co-founders of AccrueMe, and I get this question all of the time because what AccrueMe does is so different, unique, and new. Now, very simply, the way that AccrueMe makes money is AccrueMe earns a share of the profit from the sellers that we invest in. And instead of requiring payments monthly or weekly, like a lot of other investors do, we say, take our share of the profit and accrue it. Basically add it to the balance. We'll keep track of the balance of what you owe us and then pay us whenever it makes sense for you and your business. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna jump into my computer and do a little screen share with you and explain to you exactly how AccrueMe makes money with a real demo of a real Amazon seller that we're invested in who hasn't made a single payment to us in the 4 or so months that we've been invested with them. So what we're going to do now is we're going to log into the AccrueMe portal. If you receive an investment from AccrueMe, you will have your own login for this portal where you can see and manage your business. So this is the dashboard where we give some high-level information about your business performance and your relationship with AccrueMe, and you can also request additional investment here, sort of like a credit line. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the metric screen. So every merchant we invest in has a metric screen for every single day that we are invested in them. So if we look at the metric screen, you can see here today I'm filming this on May 3rd. And on May 3rd, this is what their metric screen looks like. So let's go over these two columns first, and then I'll explain how AccrueMe makes money. So the first thing that we have is the account value column. And what this really is what we call at AccrueMe qualified capital. And qualified capital is made up of the bank balance, which for this merchant happens to be 0, the authorized inventory value, which is the inventory that you have at FBA or at an authorized 3PL or inbound to FBA with a partnered carrier, all those units times the cost that you paid for them, times your cost of goods. Then here we have the Amazon balance, which we pull from Amazon's API. And then here we have your pending ACHs, because as you know, when Amazon sends you money, a lot of times it could take a day or two. So we track when Amazon says they sent money, we track when it shows up in the bank, and then we reconcile those payments from Amazon. So if you total all of those things up, you get what we call qualified capital at AccrueMe, but it's really just the asset value. So for this merchant, their asset value today is a little over $115,000. Now, the next column we have here is what we call AccrueMe capital. So you can see here that for AccrueMe capital, AccrueMe initially invested $33,000 in the seller. We haven't made any additional investments, even though they are eligible for additional investments and they can always request more money if they need it. But currently we haven't made any additional investments, so that's 0. And then any withdrawals, which are basically paybacks to AccrueMe. So we've been invested in this seller for a few months and they haven't paid AccrueMe a single penny. As you can see here, it's 0. And then the last thing we have is accrued capital to date, which is basically AccrueMe's share of the profit to date. So in the few months that we've been invested in this seller, AccrueMe's share of the profit has been about $1,900, but none of that's been paid to us. Instead, we've accrued it and added it to our balance. So if you total these 4 rows up, you get AccrueMe capital, which for this seller is currently $34,926. Now, the last thing that we have here is AccrueMe capital percentages. So AccrueMe capital percentage is basically the AccrueMe capital number here over the qualified capital or the assets in the business. So as of today, AccrueMe has $34,000 invested in this seller. That's the accrued capital. So 34,000 over 115 is about 30%. And then what we also do is we track the peak AccrueMe capital for the period. So over this month, the highest AccrueMe capital has been 34%. And that could be because of changes in inventory, shipments that don't arrive, things like that. So the peak AccrueMe capital was 34%. So this means as of now, at the end of this month, AccrueMe will earn half of that 34% of the profit. So basically take the 34, cut it in half, we get about 17%. That's the percent of the profit that AccrueMe will earn this month if nothing else changes. So now let me try and show you how AccrueMe actually earns and accrues the profit. So if we come here to April 30th, which was a few days ago, you can see here that for April, this merchant generated a little over $4,000 in profit for their business. And the peak AccrueMe capital for that period was 48%, which means AccrueMe is going to earn 24% of the profit for that period. So if the profit for the business was a little over $4,000, AccrueMe's 24% share is a little over $1,000. Looking here on April 30th, you can see that accrued capital to date was $924, and this month's accrued capital was a little over $1,000. Now, if we come over to May 1st, we see that accrued capital is increased by about $1,000 to $1,926 accrued capital to date. And then we have a pending this month's accrued capital of $20 so far in the first day of the month. So that's how it works. AccrueMe is basically just earning a small share of the profit every month. And rather than having to pay that small share of the profit, you can just accrue it and basically add it to AccrueMe's balance and increase AccrueMe's balance here. And then you pay AccrueMe whenever it makes sense for you, either partially or in full, whatever makes sense for your business. Now, the last question that we get a lot, so I want to address it, is, well, how do you determine what the profit is, right? A lot of investment sources out there will say, well, we want a share of your sales. So we actually look at true profit. So if every merchant, if you come here, you'll have a financial data tab, and you'll have a profit and loss, you'll have inventory data and sales data. The sales data is basically pulling each individual sale with its unique order ID from Amazon. We're going to blur some stuff out here, but it's pulling a unique order ID from Amazon for each sale you make. It's telling you what you collected, what your cost of goods were for that sale, what the Amazon fees were for that sale, and what your profit was for that sale. We then take that data and feed it into our profit and loss. And if you look here, we have a profit and loss where basically we're saying sales minus your cost of goods, minus all of your Amazon fees, and then minus any settlement adjustments, which includes things like inbound shipments with a partnered carrier, long-term storage fees, and Amazon PPC. So after basically deducting all of your Amazon-related expenses plus your cost of goods, we get the net profit. And that net profit is what we are sharing in. So we're not sharing in your top line sales revenue, we're sharing in pretty much your bottom line's profit numbers. That's really it. Hopefully this video was helpful in understanding how we make money, right? We make money when you make a profit, we get a share of that profit every month. And that share of the profit is basically accrued unless you choose to pay us back. So you don't have to pay us. We just track everything in the system and let you keep reinvesting as much of your cash flow as possible into your business. All right, hopefully you found that video helpful. If you liked the video and thought it was good, hit the like button down below. Let me know that you liked it. If you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I try to post a video every couple weeks. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you on the next video.